Hi, I'm going to discuss Adlerian lifestyle assessments. And just like any other assessment that you would do in your office, this can also work. So you start an assessment with an interview, right? You ask the demographics, you ask the life situation, you kind of figure out what is the presenting problem, what is the client here for, why is the client wanting therapy. Then you discuss childhood history, you discuss the medical history, and then you ask for the referral source, right? But let's say this client says something in the assessment as you're grabbing childhood history, and they say, well, I remember a time when I was 6 years old, such and such happened, and they're recollecting this early memory for you. Well, here you can grab an ER. And what an ER is an early recollection. It's an Adlerian technique that can be used to grab an early memory and then utilize that to the present and how that can relate to the present problems that the client is experiencing. So let's say the client doesn't say something like that, like, I remember a time when I was 6 years old. You can then ask for early recollections. You can ask the client, can you tell me a time as far back as you can go into your memory, preferably before the age of 10, but as far back as you can go and tell me a memory of anything that they can remember as far back. So let's say they give you this memory. They say, I was 5 years old and I was at my grandma's playing with a cow and I remember this and this. So you want the client to then slow down. You want to grab the client's memory word for word, and you're writing this down. And then you read it back to the client to ensure accuracy. After this is done, you ask the client, in that memory, what was the most vivid moment? So they just gave you, like, let's say a 3 to 4 sentence memory, but through all that, what was the most vivid memory? So let's say the client says, walking towards my cow was the most vivid memory. So you write that down. Then you ask, what was the feeling for that? And the client says, I was excited. So you write that down. So those two questions that I just asked are a key insight to what you're potentially working with, what you're trying to figure out might be the present problem. Before this, after this, you can fill out a family constellation, and this is also an Adlerian technique. Within that, you can ask for the birth order, which also is a Adlerian concept. And so what a birth order is you ask the client, are they the oldest child, are they the middle child, how many children are in the family, are they an only child? And Adler has some theories about what an only child looks like, what an older child looks like. And let's say the client says, I'm the oldest of 3. Well, the oldest, according to Adler, tend to be more organized. They tend to be more achievement driven. They're the ones who have the good grades. Let's say the client says they're the middle child. Well, middle children tend to be more competitive. Or let's say the client says they were the third born, they're the last born. Adler states that a lot of those personality traits for a younger child to be the youngest child is to be more sociable, but also dependent on others. And so you can kind of take that information, share it with the client, build that family constellation. But through this ER and through these different concepts that we just discussed, the therapist can uncover the attitudes and the convictions that the story tells, and how the client is conveying their message, how the client is talking about their family and their situations. And so through that, you can discover what they think of themselves, you can discover what they think of others, and you can also discover what they think about the world. So there's this technique called the beautiful mind technique. And in this technique, it highlights the insights and looks for words in, like, let's say the ER, it looks for the strengths of the words, the strengths that play in the person. So then you start to ask Socratic questions. which is another Adlerian term. And I kind of made an example of this. So let's say you and the client are sitting and you have a whiteboard behind you, or just a blank sheet of paper. You can then write I am, I should be, life is, right? Leave a blank, and then you and the client can fill it out together. The client can fill it out, you can fill it out, whatever works. So let's say this is just an example. So let's say you ask the client, what would you fill out after I am dot? They say hardworking. So you fill that out, they fill it out. I should be, let's say they say loved. Life is filled with hard challenges. Well, then you can also go further into what women are, men are, people are, life is. And then I should. So then they can fill that out. So women are absent. Let's say this client says that. Men are selfish. People are self-minded. Life is filled with hard challenges. I should be more confident. Okay, so the client tells you this, and we're doing this through what they just stated in the early recollections, whether you picked out one early recollection, 2, or 3. Then you ask them, this is another Adlerian term, the question. The question meaning, if this could all be different, how would we change this, right? And so you take out a new piece of paper, you write the same things down again, have the client fill it out. So up here I put, here's the question, if it could all be different. All right, so then we start over. Women are working hard to make it, just like I am. So in the beginning, client said women are absent. And then she said men are selfish. Well, we're trying to change it, and we just asked the question. So women are hardworking to make it. Men are taking care of themselves in order to help others. People are trying to work on their challenges too. Life is filled with people to help. So before she said life is filled with challenges. Now she's saying life is filled with people to help. And then leaving that as, at the end, I should stay positive. So this is a very positive way to look through past situations and then bring it back to present moment, and kind of exploring that with the client. It gives you a lot of information when you first meet them, gives you some good information about them. So thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those. All right, thank you.